Hey, Chris and Dimitri. Um, yeah, so I was taking a look at where we're at with kind of our turret designs. And let me see here, I can just expand that. And here's kind of, some of that early ideation. The perspective's a little bit funky, but I think the other side of this too is we're not looking at this as a complete whole. So it's fine to look at the design base to some degree, but we need to see the design base along with the turret itself, like as it can be a separate piece, right? I mean, this is all just super placeholder temporary stuff, right? And then we need to see it also in the context of the buildings, right? So next time we do the this kind of concept exploration, let's roll these things together. So with that being said, I kind of like this one a little bit, but none of these designs right now are resonating very well with me, and I'm trying to put my finger on it, but I'm not quite there yet. And so I thought I would do a little bit of exploration this evening to kind of take a look at, again, kind of where we're at with, it's interesting. That oh, that's new. I haven't seen that. Oh, interesting. Whoa. Okay. Oh my God. Pushing all the buttons. Oh, yeah. Interesting. Okay. I didn't see the latest update on this. This is kind of cool. But I digress. So I do like that I'm seeing these smart materials for the first time. But just coming back to take a look at where we're at, right? So here's a piece of technology that we have. And, as we're developing the world. And in particular, I mean, we have this really cool cannon, right? We have the chain gun turrets. And then we have this, again, just concept wise, it's a little bit of a missile turret here. And then we have, I think we have one other thing that's kind of like the turret thing. So I think these turret enemies for the buildings, we need to come back to where we're at with some of our current design iteration, right? And if I were taking a look at that, there we go. Because we're starting to build up this language of the game itself, and I think it's pretty huge. We need to take that inspiration that we're seeing in terms of this Paltech technology for these different types of weapons. We're not trying to go too alien. We're definitely going a lot more rounder shapes. We have, teleportation. We have nanite cloud swarms. We have all these really cool concepts. We have advanced magnetics in order to create new transferable power source materials. I don't know, like we make this stuff up, right? But I think that as we're exploring this, and even coming back to take a look at this, I mean, look at this latest version of the chain gun that we've got going on here, right? I really like that we're coming to a point where the quad cannons are pretty cool, and I think I can see all of the magnetically charged field between the links. We're gonna have the portal with the gun coming out of the portal, right? Like there are these things that are happening that I really like that we're exploring, and it's not quite here with stuff like this because we're still working on it, right? But we need to bring some of this creative thinking into, I think, our designs for the building turrets. So that's the kind of gist of it. So appreciate that we're starting there, right? But this is the push to also take a step back, think about where we're at with our own, technology in terms of how this stuff shows up in the world, and how we can apply that to, I think, our new designs. Even taking a look at this guy here, we have our cool, weird holographic cylinders. We've got this language of how Paltech is starting to define and create its types of mercenary style of machinery, either for controlling a regular populace or invasion or mercenaries, or it could be also the robotics for doing artificial policing, things like that. So I really like where we're spending time thinking about that stuff. Coming into here as well, and we have these sort of, and this is a little bit more, here, the drone thrower, right? Like that's a savage piece of technology. I really love that. And the smart materials and stuff like that, right? So, and I think we're getting there, but we need to come back and reset our ideation with those types of things in mind. So, with that being said, I also did a little bit of an exploration, nothing super, super awesome, but just thought why not make some stuff and then talk about it. So let's see. I think it's here. can see her. Yeah. Okay, cool. So I just kind of working with Midjourney. This is a little bit too alien in terms of I think in terms of the shapes, and of course we're not looking at it from the right perspective, but you know, I do kind of like this sort of like the shapes here a little bit. I like that we have these longer kind of like claw-like legs. I like that I could imagine this thing being recessed and then coming up here and kind of popping out. And you know, I also I kind of like the it's not quite there, but I kind of like this interesting shape that we have for this turret. So just, you know, I think we have two types of classes of weaponry. Like one is we have like these physical missile deterrent systems, right? And then, you know, we also have I like kind of like the chain guns, right? That we have with the materializer medium class tank. But we also have the larger power cannon, which will be kind of this plasma cannon, which is, I think, taking cues from the materializer's tank cannonry. I think those are the two main things that I'm thinking about in terms of doing our next round of ideation. You know, and I think that also when we're talking about, you know, here, you know, I kind of like that we have these kind of like I don't know, these legs here, you know, and granted it's a bit more detail right now, kind of where we're at with stuff here. We have some interesting, while it's still AI generated, some interesting sort of like, I don't know, like segmentation maybe here between these two things. And then here, you know, it's a bit weird, but do I have another button I can push? Can I push this button? Yeah, I can push this button. Here, I think it's kind of interesting that we have like, you know, like these displays. We have some kind of weird suggested function, I think, with these like I don't know, like these silos or these pylons maybe. You know, I kind of like that we also have this kind of like this deck here. In terms of the, you know, of like how it's a deck in the middle and underneath. And, you know, I think that I like that there's some interesting bits in that spot. So, also enjoying, we have this like weird kind of ring at the top where I guess be like, oh shoot, pew, 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 right? Yeah. Like that would be this is why I have an art team, because that's my idea of a gun, apparently. Oops, shit. Let me see here. And then again, I think we have the displays here, and we have this more rounded base here with some stuff. I really like that as well. You know, you can kind of start to see sort of the themes as I kind of just, you know, plucking away at some of the stuff here, like the idea of how the stuff comes together. This is some retexturing that we just did for Quantent's environment. Again, another like cue for our more advanced technology and what that looks like. There's nothing amazing coming out of this, but just showing that. You know, also nothing super amazing there. I do like, you know, we've got these kind of like ring display exhaust vent things or intakes. I'm not sure what those are, but I like the idea that we've got some tech noise. It's always kind of a balance between our more cartoon style and then having enough detail. And I know we're just looking at shapes right now, so that's a big piece of it. Again, some of these bigger sort of like arm bit shapes I'm kind of liking that we've explored in the space here a little bit more, which I thought was kind of cool. You know, there's something I think that resonates with me because these are our base shapes that we're still working on for the Quantent environment, but I like how they've been reskinned with kind of like this, you know, like mechanical texturing, movable parts kind of thing. Oops, go back in here and let's see. Yeah, so there's those things. I don't think there's so far to go there. Oh, dang it. Oh, man. You know, and I think it's less about these environments. These are just, again, kind of, this is actually really cool. Dimitri, I forgot how cool like this weird texture wound up turning out in the background as well. And again, these are more details in terms of conveyance and feeling. So we won't go too deep there. And then as I was like exploring our building shapes as well, I like kind of where we're at with our buildings, but I look at a building like this, and there's something where this building tends to, or this missile barrage, or this extended silo thing. There's something about how this turned out that makes me feel like it belongs more in our world than some of our current concepts. You know, also I think we could take some interesting, yeah, when so if I take a look, kind of going back, I think, you know, again, you can see some of the tropes. You know, there's something interesting about this big kind of shape here, of course. And also I think the overall shape, which I'm kind of liking. I like that it kind of feels integrated. I feel like there's something that's inside of this, you know, that could come out. And you know, we got these kind of like power line bits that are pretty cool here, and like I'm a sucker for any kind of like display readouts. We kind of a flared base here, right? I like the idea that this whole thing feels like it could come out of or be materialized on or teleport into or nano cloud swarm. I think conjured maybe, that works pretty well in that spot. Here, I kind of like this weird shape that we have here. It's like this solenoid thing, which is pretty neat. You know, just kind of enjoying how maybe a few of those things are coming together. Here's a weird perspective for like a building, but I did like that. Like, I start to imagine how like this could be like a door, you know, or like like their power solenoids, and that you know, and then they both open like this way, which would be pretty neat, like on like maybe hinges or something like that. You know, I like that when I see the form and I kind of see how the shapes come together, but thinking about it holistically, how it fits in with the buildings, I think is a big part. Nothing too crazy there. This was kind of interesting. I like the idea that that it's like, you know, these big side channels that are like just these like big power converters, or, you know, when we talk about the, you know, like the big plasma beam, I think that there's something really cool about, I could see how this could all be one larger solenoid that then is the base for the turret itself. Also kind of like the shapes here. This was kind of interesting. I think that it was interesting just to kind of, you know, do some ideation a little bit. And, you know, here you have these two big like power, like vertical shapes here. They're nicely broken up, and you have the you have the I think the middle area too, where it's recessed, which I kind of really enjoyed as well. You know, I think that's just food for thought as well, and kind of how we could kind of come to that. And again, some of this is just detailing, you know, but I think in terms of shapes, I really liked how that turned out there. Dr. Bosky with his weird bone bits. Yeah, so I thought I'll leave you with that. Let's keep exploring, but let's take some of the aspects of this and the reflection on our own technology, and then next for our next iteration, we need to look at all the pieces and how they work together. Because if we look too close at one thing, just the base, we lose sight of how the functionality of how the turret will be. And then now, just like we've designed the buildings, but we haven't really designed the weapon defenses or the defensive batteries for the buildings, there's a chance that we may need to reshape some of our buildings to create the mounts for this stuff as well. Because what I'm really excited about is like the whole building, they move up and down to like align and bring up the different types of defenses. I think it's really cool. It's a cool idea. And then when you destroy these things, there's going to be all this great candy where you see the decals of the building being destroyed. It'll have a really cool like destroyed state, and it'll feel really satisfying to see the big explosions, and then to see it like have this visceral damage state on the building itself, even though all this stuff is flying by quick. So anyways, I'll leave you with that. I'll get this video up, and I appreciate you. Thank you so much.